Hey, friend, welcome to Through the Shannell4Life Lens, where we explore real stories on life, love, and growth, one conversation at a time. I'm your host, Neeta, also known as Chanel for Life, and around here we live by the 4 S's. We show up, show off, show out, and most importantly, show love for life. Each week, we will dive into topics that inspire, challenge, and connect us because life is a journey and we're in it together. So get comfortable, turn the volume up, and let's get into it. Every moment is a fresh beginning. T.S. Eliot. Hey, friend, welcome back to Through the Shannell4Life Lens. I'm your host, Neeta, and today we are talking all about the power of starting over. Let's face it, whether it's a career shift, a relationship change, or shifting into unknown, starting over can be terrifying, scary, and also transformative. But trust me, when you get on the other side of that fear, what is waiting for you is beautiful. Now, sometimes in life, starting over, even though it is scary, it is necessary. And even though we know that something beautiful can be waiting for us, it doesn't take away that anxiety, that fear, those nerves that we may have when we face the possibility that we have to start over. But here's the thing. Although starting over is scary, many times it is necessary. I went through my own journey of starting over last year. Now, some of you have been following me on Chanel for Life, so you've heard the story of my career change. Others of you are new here, so we're going to walk down this path. As I told you, I like to walk down a path and bring it forward so that everything connects. After 14 years of working in one career field, well, actually, it was more than 14 years, it was more like 18 years. After 18 years of being in one career field, growing my career, mastering that career, becoming an expert in that area, and 14 years at my previous job, I made the tough decision to walk away and start something new. In the years that I had grown my career at my previous job, I began to feel stuck. I had maxed out growth wise and salary wise for a few years, and it was time to make a change. However, I had spent, as I said, 18 years in this field, becoming the master of it, becoming the expert, becoming the go to person, that the idea of having to go to something new, it scared me. And it wasn't for lack of trying to find something that was in my area of expertise, that was within my field, but the opportunities were just not there. Well, more so, the opportunities were there, but they just were not paying what I needed them to pay. So last January 2024, I took that leap of faith and moved on to something new. Now, this job came about because I was looking for jobs one day, knowing that I had outgrown my previous job. I needed to do something different. I had grown my skill level, I had grown my expertise, and I needed to be doing more. And I was searching for jobs, I believe, months before that, and wound up applying for this job. And as things would have it, towards the end of 2023, I got a call for an interview, did the interview, was offered the job, and started in January 2024. But that didn't come without nervousness, without anxiousness, without fear. Of course, I was scared. I mean, absolutely, I was scared. I was going from something that was comfortable, something that I had known for 18 years, the majority of my adult life, and moving into this new field. And while the skills are transferable, there were also skills that I had developed in my old job that I hadn't really got the chance to put into practice and use them. And going into this new job would really give me that opportunity. I had to weigh my options. Did I want to stay where I was comfortable, where I was safe, or did I want to branch out, do more, get paid my value, and do something new? So, of course, after weighing that, I mean, some people would say it's a no brainer, but let's face it, when we are comfortable, when we're used to being somewhere, a lot of times we tend to overthink our decision that we need to start over. But I also knew that if I stayed in that place, I would be miserable. There would be no growth. There would be no salary increases. Even though I was comfortable, it was necessary to move on because I knew that I was capable of more. And so it was time to go and do more. And it's one of those things where fear of the unknown is real, but the regret of not trying lasts longer. So, yes, I had to go ahead and take that chance. I had to go ahead and try. And not for 1 second did I doubt that I would be able to do the job. It was just the fact that I was switching into a similar but new career field, working in an area that I hadn't really worked before, but I had the skill, the knowledge, and expertise to do so. And then I would be the new person. Do you know how long it had been since I had been the new person that didn't know much and had to learn something new? So, yes, that was scary, but it was necessary. And many times when we're standing on the edge of something new, the fear and excitement, they often ride together. But here's the thing. When it's time to do something new, when it's time to make that change, when it's time to start over, one of them is going to lead you to growth. And staying stuck and sitting where you're comfortable is not going to do that. So many times it is necessary to take that step, to take that leap, because you just have to start over, start fresh, and start new. And there's tremendous power in starting over. When you start over, you give yourself that opportunity of something fresh. Yes, our comfort zone, we like to sit and chill in that comfort zone, but where does that comfort zone get you? I remember years ago, my mom told me the years are going to pass. It's just a matter of how you spend them. And that is something I have carried with me throughout my entire adult life when it comes to making decisions. Yes, we can say comfortable. Yes, we can say, oh, I'll wait until tomorrow. And that's what a lot of us do because we may not want to start over. We don't want to face the possibility of having to shift that career, change that relationship, step into the unknown. We put it off until tomorrow. Oh, it's not the right time. We'll say that a lot. Oh, just now is not the right time. But when is the right time? If you spend time waiting and looking for the right time, trust me, you're going to find an excuse every time as to why it's not the right time. Now, yes, I said time a lot in those last couple sentences, but you get it. Making those excuses, looking for that right time is going to leave you stuck right where you are, complacent right where you are. But sometimes it's necessary for you to take that leap, step into that unknown, embrace that new chapter, because there is tremendous power when you choose to start over. Now, let's talk about the beauty of new beginnings. What you're looking at here, this whole Chanel for Life movement, this whole Chanel for Life brand is a new beginning. A new beginning for me, definitely a new beginning for those of us that are listening. And there's been so much beauty in this new beginning. And this also came from me having to start over. Now, this episode is becoming a little more personal than I thought it would be. But when I sat down and then I'm sitting here talking to you, I'm realizing just how many times I had to start over in life. And so, yes, I just shared one personal story, but let's go back to another. The one that got us here, the part of the Chanel for Life journey that you may not know. Now, before there was Chanel for Life, there was me, myself, and I was out here doing content creation for brands, creating ads for brands, filming this user-generated content as it's known. But also, if you've been following my journey, you know that I have multiple sclerosis. I was diagnosed in 2019. That really shifted my life. However, there was so much growth that has come in my life since that diagnosis. Now, I'll get into my diagnosis story, that journey another day, but I will tell you that when I was diagnosed in 2019, I was rocking, I was rolling, I was doing a whole bunch of things out here. But in hindsight, I was doing way too much, and God had to slow me down. Sometimes when you're hard-headed like me, He got to do some pretty extreme things to get your attention. Now, me and God done had some conversations since then, like, really, God, that's what we had to do? But yeah, maybe I wasn't listening. But anyway, I digress. When I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, it literally stopped me in my tracks. And when I tell you the story of my diagnosis and how all that happened, you'll know why I said it literally stopped me in my tracks. So we go through, I'm diagnosed with MS. My life is different after I'm out of the hospital. I have to depend on people to do things. It took me months to get back to myself, although I had a new normal because I was never the person that I was before that diagnosis, but I had to adjust to a new normal, get back to myself. And in doing all that, this is where my first kind of solidified brand came from when I started talking about being more than a mother. And I started a podcast called More Than a Mother Podcast. It is still here on Apple Music and all the podcasting platforms if you're a mom and you want to go check it out. But it was really about encouraging moms to pursue your dreams and goals and not like wait until your kids are older, because at that time, my son was like just graduating high school in his first years of college. And I had a lot of friends in that same situation who were like, okay, my kids are older now. What am I supposed to do? And I really got on that movement of, no, let's start to build now. You're more than a mother. You can build now so that as your kids grow, as they get older, as they leave, you have your dreams and goals that you have already stepped into, and you're not looking around like, now what? So from that, the More Than a Mother brand was built, and I started a podcast, connected with lots of women and mothers, and rocked out. And from there, I started diving into content creation, being the mom content creator, as I called myself, creating content for these brands, creating content online, growing my own personal social media profiles, doing this user generated content. And I loved it. But the thing is, if you remember back at that time, we were in a pandemic. So things were shut down. So in that 2020 to 2020, late 2021, 2022 time, things were kind of slow. But then as life kind of ramped back up, things opened back up, I was having to go back into work every day instead of a few days a week or working from home. Also, having this chronic illness, it became so difficult for me to keep up and I had to stop. And I was also going through like different things in my personal life. I didn't want God to have to sit me down and slow me down all the way again. So I slowed myself down. I was like, you can't keep going at this path. Neeta, you got to chill. Because I did not want to have another episode wind up flat on my back in the hospital because I'm doing too much. So, see, I am hard headed, but I did learn to listen. So I had to stop. And when I had to stop doing the podcast, stop doing the user generated content, stop creating this content for brands, I didn't realize how much of an impact it had on me until I started to reflect on it in like this past year. Again, that was something else I had to grieve. Like I had to grieve the loss of my life that I thought I would have before I was diagnosed with this illness. But then I had to turn around and grieve the life that I was building, something that I love to do. I love to create content. I love to make the videos. I was good at it. I was teaching people how to become content creators. I was doing my podcasts, but it became too much with my life, with motherhood, being a wife, all my other responsibilities, being a woman and working and doing all this. It became too much and having this chronic illness that I had to stop. And it was at that time when I had to stop that I started turning to online, and passing the time. Okay, I'm not able to do this anymore. I kind of went through my own really sad period, grieving period of the life that I was building because I was doing so well and I loved it, but I couldn't keep it up. I couldn't sustain it. And as I'm scrolling, it was around the time we had the 2021, there was the verses and following the journey of Nelly and Ashanti through the end of 2021 to 2022, watching everything that is happening throughout that year. Eventually stumbling across Fan Mode's page where she's posting the clues and all that we all can look for. And she was piecing this puzzle together for us. And that is what began to give me joy. And it's crazy because in talking to people that I've met through this Shannell4Life journey, there were a lot of us. We talked about it being trauma bonding, not realizing that a lot of us were on many different paths, but we were all going through different things and we were able to connect. We were able in our own worlds, we were connecting with the possibility of a Nelly and Ashanti reunion following this journey. We're all in our own silo worlds doing all of this, not knowing that come 2023, Shannell4Life brand will be born. And that's just amazing to me how God works because we were all brought together for such a time as this. But again, going back to my own story where I was grieving and the loss of the life that I was building, following these clues online and all. And then one day in 2023, like I told you, I love to create content. I loved it. And one day I was kind of battling with the idea of I want to get back into content creation, but how can I do it? Those were thoughts that I was having. This was summer of 2023, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. Going through, I want to do this. I want to get back into creating content, but how can I realistically do this? And one day It was near my birthday in August, I believe, of 2023. It kind of dropped in my spirit because I was following fan mode. I was on YouTube. I was in all these different places looking at this Nelly and Ashanti content because their story was bringing me joy at that time. Watching this possible reunion was bringing some light to my darkness at that time. And one day it popped in my mind and it was like, there's certain content I want to see. I'm tired of going to different platforms trying to piece it all together. So, since I know what I want and it's not out there, go ahead and create it. Now, me, I'm having a conversation like, what? Go ahead and create it. What do you mean? This is me and God talking because, yeah, I talk to God a lot. But it was me and God having these conversations. It was like, you know what you want. You know what you want to see. You know how to create content. You know what you want it to look like. It doesn't exist. So create it. And when I tell you, I went back and forth with God for weeks about this. Like, what? What I look like creating this Nelly and Ashanti page at my big age? Literally, those are the conversations I was having. And it was like, no, this is what you want. Go ahead and do it. Again, what I look like doing this at my big age. But anyway, after some back and forth, I got over on TikTok, came up with a name, put together Ashanti, Nelly, Shannell. That's how I came up with Shannell. Made it for life. Started this page on TikTok, and it took off and exploded more than I imagined. Now, we'll dive into more details of the Shannell4Life story and how we got to this point here and really dissect that and the path I was on even more to get to this point. But in hindsight, as I'm sitting here talking to you, that was me starting over. And as we're seeing a living example right in front of you right now, the power in that starting over. Because I wanted to create content, I found a way to create content, but just in a different way. One that was no wear, tear, and stress on my body. It was just doing something I love to do. Scroll on my phone, find these clips, put them together as I know how to do. And bam, Shannell4Life was born. And I embraced that new chapter of my life, the new beginning, finding the beauty in the new beginning. Because as we look now, look at how much has come out of this. There has been so much beauty in this new beginning. So that's another side of starting over. Yes, there's the fear, there's the scary part, there's the what am I doing? This is crazy. But so many of us have had to start over. So many people that we look at today have had to start over, whether it is in business and music and life, they started over. You got Oprah, who was fired before she came Oprah. You got Jay-Z, who didn't drop his first album until he was 26. You got me, myself, and I starting over as Shannell4Life. You have Ashanti having her story in the past of branching out and having to start over from Murder Inc. and start her own label and do her own thing and figure it out. You have Nelly with his own stories of how he had to start over. Everyone has had to start over and embrace a new beginning at some point. And the thing is, every overnight success that you see is not an overnight success. Everyone started at day one. And that's what I tell people. Just because somebody looks like an overnight success, you don't know what their journey was to get to this point. Every ending carries the seed of a new beginning. So for me, with the job I left, with the content creation, the way I was creating content I left, that ending, those endings carried the seeds for this new beginning. Starting over gives you something that you can't get any other way: clarity. You begin to learn who you are, what you value, and who's really in your corner. You gain so much clarity when you're able to start over. I can say, oh, just start over. There's power in starting over. Embrace that new chapter in your life. But let's face it, it's never that easy, and it's not that simple, and it's still going to be scary. But here are 3 ways that you can embrace starting over. The first thing you can do to embrace starting over and step into your new chapter with confidence is to shift your mindset. You have to reframe fear and understand that it is part of the process and not let it stop you. Instead of asking, what if I fail? How about saying, what if I succeed? What if I grow? What if this is better than I ever imagined? A lot of things in life start with a simple mindset shift. That ability to stop focusing on things that could go wrong and focus on all the things that could go right. Yes, it is scary. Yes, it is unknown. Yes, it can be hard, but as I said earlier, it's transformative. Change is not always easy. Change can be hard in most circumstances, but change is always worth it. And when you start to shift your mindset and embrace the possibility of change and all the greatness that can come of it, you find that, of course, that fear, anxiety is still going to be there, but it's easier for you to shift and embrace that new chapter and embrace the idea of starting over and start to recognize the power that can come from making that move to start over. The second thing you want to do is find your people. Your people are out there waiting for you. Your people are there. Surround yourself with those who remind you of your power. Trust me, you need people in your corner. You need people who can hold your vision when you get tired. Now, let's talk about that. You really do need people that can hold your vision when you're tired. I have been fortunate on the Shannell4Life journey to find some great people that have been with me through the highs and the lows. And there have been some low times and some very high times. But these people were able to help me shift my mindset, refocus, reframe when I was tired, I was discouraged, I was losing sight of my vision. They helped knock me back in. Need to get it together. You have goals and things to accomplish. Get yourself together. Like, really, these are things that my friends were telling me. But I found these people on this journey. When you're starting over, when you're embracing a new chapter of your life, you are going to find those people who are there to hold you up when you are feeling weak and when you need it the most. So surround yourself with those who are going to support you no matter what, who are going to encourage you, who are going to believe in your vision as much as you, because then that takes some of the pressure off of that starting over and off of being in that new chapter because you have your support squad rocking out with you. The third thing you can do is just start and figure out the details later. Don't wait for it to be perfect. Progress is made in motion. Many of us get caught up on the details. We get caught up in our overthinking and overanalyzing that we fail to take the step. In this season, when it comes to embracing new opportunities and the power of in this season, when it comes to starting over and embracing new opportunities, you want to go ahead and just start. Because if you don't, you'll spend forever overthinking it, planning it, waiting for the right time. You can find the power that you need to start over by just taking that first step. And as they say, the first step is often the hardest step. But when you're able to take that step, take that leap of faith, take that jump, whatever it is that you need to do to make it happen, you find that after you take that first step, the next steps get a little bit easier. And when it comes to embracing that new chapter in life, just take that first step. As Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, you don't have to see the whole staircase to take the first step. And that is something that is important to remember when it comes to starting over. Your mindset, your support squad, and taking that step. Because the only way you can start over is to really take action. Now, friend, we've said a few times that starting over is not easy, but it is so worth it. Starting over is not about losing, it's about choosing. It's about choosing to take that step to do something different, do something better, do something to advance yourself and your life. Choosing growth over comfort, courage over fear, and possibility over regret. Because I guarantee you, the one thing you don't want to do is live a life of shoulda, coulda, woulda. Wondering what would happen if I did that? Should I have done that? So I encourage you today to do like Nike says and just do it. And remember, you do not have to walk at it alone. You do not have to do it alone because there are people out there just like you who are on that edge, ready to embrace that new chapter. And they need someone just like you to come along and help them to take that next step. So why not help each other? I want to hear your story of starting over. Where have you had to start over in life? What steps did you take to start over? What was the thing that kind of held you back or the hardest part that you found about starting over? And then once you conquered that hard part, how do you feel when you finally embraced that new chapter and walked into your next? Share it with me on Instagram at Shannell4Life or at Through the Shannell4Life Lens. And let's inspire each other to keep going and keep growing. And remember, it is up to you in everything you do to show up, show off, show out, and show love for life. Well, that's a wrap for today's episode. I hope this conversation gave you something to think about, something to feel, and something to take with you on your journey. If you love this episode, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a new one. And if something resonated with you, share it with a friend or drop a review. It helps us to grow this community and keep the good vibes going. Join the conversation on Instagram at Shannell4Life and visit Shannell4Life.com for more. And remember, whatever you do in life, show up, show off, show out, and show love for life. I'll see you in the next episode.